Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekly show with Aditya. A half an hour show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. In association with Dusra.net, the number one website in sports, education, and entertainment. Welcome to episode 103 of the weekly show with Aditya on the 21st of August 2019. We have a very special show lined up tonight, and now, before we begin, there is a special message from our guest Saurabh. Let's hear what he has to say.
This is for Aditya's podcast, The Weekly Show with Aditya. So I want to congratulate Aditya on reaching a terrific milestone, which is 100 episodes earlier this month. So Aditya started his podcast and he wanted as a way to provide his viewpoints on sports and entertainment. Initially he talked about cricket and WWE, then he later branched onto other sports such as hockey, UFC, badminton, and he's been adding in different topics around education, social media, and news. So I really like the content that has been putting out. He's been very consistent, like putting out content 3 days a week, and which is new and fresh content. You won't find this anywhere else. It's just totally Aditya's viewpoint on current affairs, sports, movie reviews that he has the time to watch. So I'm very happy that Aditya has reached this milestone, and I think he would be great in future podcasts. I would be listening to his future podcast, and here's to 100 more. Thanks.
Thank you, Saurabh, for being a part of this show again and helping us take the podcast to further heights. What's the first topic on our agenda? It's the people's champion, but not The Rock, but the Indian audience's champion at this point of time, Virat Kohli. He is closely followed by a Sunil Chhetri and a Harmanpreet Singh, along with Mandeep Singh, Neeraj Chopra, and others. Kohli's legacy as a captain will be sealed if he manages to win 4 world championships in the next 3.5 years. Yes, 4 world championships. Out of one is the Test World Cup, the 2 T20 World Cups, and the 50 over World Cup. But by the time the 50 over World Cup comes, he will be around 34, and we know what happens when an athlete, especially in this sport, gets into the late 30s. We treat him like a burden. Let's hope Virat Kohli does not get the same treatment. When he gets to that age, we shall discuss that as well. But let's focus on what is current. After extensive research, I have come to the conclusion that this format of the Test Championship, where teams play each other in private tournaments or what we call bilateral series, but each point, whether it is a draw or a win, will propel them towards being the number 1 and the number 2 side, so that when 2021 comes, they will play finally at Lords. And why are we playing at Lords and not in any other country? Because the championship is scheduled for June or July. The best weather in the entire planet is in that part of the world. Australia does not start its domestic and international tournaments before October. India, well, in India it will be monsoon as well as heat. And which ground will host the match? None of the grounds in India have the capacity, the infrastructure, as well as the atmosphere to host such a tournament. So, by default and by design, the tournament will be hosted at Lords. The first test against West Indies is tomorrow. And what should be the team? Well, in my view, they will go with six batters, including the wicket keepers. Then there will be a toss up between 2 plus 3 or 3 plus 2. What does 3 plus 2 or 2 plus 3 mean? It will either be three fast bowlers and the two all rounders in Jadeja and Ashwin, or it will be two fast bowlers and the three spinners in the two all-rounders Jadeja and Ashwin, and an upcoming all-rounder in Kuldeep Yadav. Hardik Pandya's absence will force them to go with this combination. They have no other choice, and it means that Ashwin has to play because we do not have a good enough all-rounder lower down the order except Jadeja, and with Bhuvneshwar Kumar, another potential all-rounder, not the part of the test team. It means that the onus of being the all-rounders, the best two all-rounders in the test team, falls on Ashwin and Jadeja. And the two fast bowlers could be Mohammad Shami and Jasprit Bumrah, because if they are going with the three spinner combination, which looks logical at this point of time, then there will be only two choices between the three fast bowlers in Bumrah, Shami, and Ishant Sharma. And all three fast bowlers deserve to be in the team. But as I said, in Hardik Pandya's absence, a third spinner might just take the lead. And now there are talks that Kuldeep Yadav will get more chances ahead of Ashwin. For me, this is a tactical error. We don't have, as I repeat, we don't have a good enough batsman post Rishabh Pant. Yes, Jadeja is there. So let's say we don't have a good enough batter post Jadeja. We cannot rely on a Bumrah, Shami, and Ishant Sharma to come at 8, 9, 10, 11. We need Ashwin in the team. If India are, let's say, 100 for 5, who do you depend on? Or if they are 100 for 6, yes, they should not be 100 for 6, but anything is possible. So, yes, we have to think about this clearly. Ashwin has to be in the team. He cannot be discarded just because they think Kuldeep Yadav is an up and coming bowler. Kuldeep Yadav is a good bowler. But looking at the team combination, the absence of Hardik Pandya, the juggling of the team, and the positions at which individuals bat and who are the individuals selected will be a very important point. Unlike other countries, India does not have the habit, the culture of announcing the team in advance. So they will keep the team and the individuals who are going to participate in the first match closely guarded secret. Apart from the Ashwin Kuldeep conundrum, there is also the Rahane Rohit Sharma situation. Which of these individuals should be in the team? Will they go the same way England went when they choose Josh Butler because he batted well in the 50 over and the 20 over matches? Will they have the same philosophy that they will choose a Rohit Sharma over Rahane because Rohit Sharma can score fast? Believe me, this strategy might just backfire or it could go in their favor. It is difficult to decipher at this point. Rahane and Ashwin are not the only individuals, as the speculation goes, who are no longer the favorite of the coach and the captain. Even the opener Rahul, who has scored runs, has done well. But since Hanuma Vihari can bowl, he can give you those 10 12 overs in between. He might just get an upper hand over Rahul. And this is how their philosophy works. Since the team management has not announced the team and we will know nothing for another 30 hours. So let's speculate what could the team be for the first match. Mayank Agarwal as the opener. Toss up between Rahul and Hanuma Vihari. At number 3, it should be Virat Kohli, but it will be Pujara. So 3 and 4 are Kohli and Pujara. Number 5 will be a toss-up between Rahane and Rohit. For the wicketkeeper, it will always be Rishabh Pant. I hope India does not make the same error as other teams have done by going with two wicket keepers. They cannot afford that. That they have to understand. If we have to rate between Pant and Saha in terms of age, skill, time he will be given to play, it will always be Rishabh Pant. Saha is already 34 and a half. At worst, he can play for another 3 years. But in the same context, a Rishabh Pant has at least 15 years. So yes, Rishabh Pant for me gets the advantage over Riddhiman Saha for the wicketkeeper's slot. If not for Rishabh Pant, we would have never won the Test series in Australia. And what has Saha done as a contributor? Nil, nada, zero, zilch. There are no emotions regarding the wicketkeeper's position. So at number 6, it's the one and only Rishabh Pant. But now comes the dilemma. Who should be your number 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11? At number 7, they will most likely slot in Jadeja. At number 8, it should be ideally Ashwin, but if they go with 3 fast bowlers, then they will slot in Kuldeep Yadav at number 8. And that might just backfire, but we need to wait on that. Then 9, 10, 11, if we are presuming it's 3 fast bowlers, it will be Shami, Ishant Sharma and Bumrah. So this settles the speculative team we may have for tomorrow. But what could be the alternative? The only alternative could be between Rohit and Rahane for the number 5 slot, and then going with 3 spinners and 2 fast bowlers means Ashwin, Jadeja, Kuldeep Yadav, Bumrah and Shami as your bowlers. And if they choose a Hanuma Vihari over a KL Rahul, he will be your fill-in / sixth bowler if needed. And I disagree with a few fringe experts who say that Rahul's time as a player is done. No, that is not the case. If that was the case, then a Rahul Dravid and a VVS Lakshan would have never played the duration they did. So yes, we should stop speculating and not be critical of a certain individual. Well, in that case, I am an exception and I can do whatever I want. So my listeners must be wondering, why did I not talk about the hockey tournament in Japan, a test tournament to see how they are shaping up for the Olympics? Those matches were not broadcasted. For some greed and commercial reasons, the broadcasters decided that the match in Japan, it's not officially Olympics, so let's not broadcast it. And even in newspapers, when the result of the matches were announced, as I have been reiterating in my previous podcast, they only got half a paragraph. If this was a football World Cup qualifying tournament or even a preparatory tournament, then you would have seen an entire page being dedicated. The first page, half of the first page would have been dedicated to this, and the entire sports section would have got this coverage. So this shows your attitude. It's never about the sport, it's all about the commerce. And as I say again and again, old habits die hard. And I can assure you, unlike other media organizations, advertisements will never stifle what is important, the content and my listeners. Over the past week, Jofra Archer has become the news since he has been bowling close to 150 kilometers per hour and has knocked out Steve Smith from the rest of the tournament. He may be out for at least one match, and then England can take advantage of a vulnerable Australian team and finish what they started in the second half of the second match. Australia would want to look at their team selection as their opener Warner has been kept quiet so far. The other opener Cameron Bancroft has tried but hasn't got those runs, which is important in some contexts, and other contexts we say we should give him more time. So what they can do is open with Khwaja, and Warner can come in the middle order as they need someone in that number 4 or number 5 position to stabilize the batting. They might rest Peter Siddle and give Mitchell Stark a chance as they have been rotating bowlers in this entire tournament. Can you believe that you have 3 matches in the same day? One will start at 10 a.m. and the last one will finish at 10 p.m. But that's enough about this sport. So this ends part 1 of this great episode. Stay tuned for part 2. Welcome to part 2 of this great episode. As you all know, the Wednesday tradition is to talk about the events in WWE, and we shall now do that. You could call it nostalgia or popular demand, or in simple terms, going back to what worked best. But the WWE management has decided to revive a previous tournament which they call the King of the Ring. This is different than most other pay-per-views. There is no championship to be held, but it's more in the case of, as the name suggests, the King of the Ring. So when a wrestler, after going through 3 or 4 grueling matches, wins, they get a chance to sit on the throne and are anointed the same way a king would be anointed. But in this case, the wrestler doesn't get the title just because they are in that hierarchy or family. They have to work through it. So, what the tradition is, they choose 12 or 13 wrestlers. They have matches, first round, quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals, and finally the individual who wins is given the throne, the specter, as well as the crown, and that individual's stage name gets the title king attached to it forever. They have already done away with the few matches, some of them being close so as to not know who would win, and the others being in the controversial section. And as has been the history of this particular company, they are known for their surprise alliances. And if the Roman Reigns Undertaker short term alliance wasn't surprising, the biggest surprise is the one between Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. In the latter half of 2016 and the beginning of 2017, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman went through a series of grueling matches and were labeled as fierce rivals. Up to the extent that when Braun Strowman, who was the previous Money in the Bank winner, tried to cash in, Reigns' previous partners in Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins got together to deny him that opportunity. And now, a year and a half later, we see a Seth Rollins and a Braun Strowman as partners. And not only as partners, they got together and they won the tag team championship. Their tag team came as an impromptu. Before that, Braun Strowman had challenged AJ Styles for the United States Championship, but when that match was stopped midway due to the interference of AJ Styles' partners, Rollins, who had earlier fought AJ Styles in a champion versus champion match, but even that match was called off because AJ Styles' partners in Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson teamed up together to beat on Seth Rollins. It was Braun Strowman who came to the rescue. So Seth Rollins returned the favor when Braun Strowman was in the same position, and then these two combined together to win the tag team championship. But within such alliances, there is always a story within a story. So how long will that alliance work? It's difficult to say, but it has worked well so far. Though that Braun Strowman has his eyes on the Universal Championship, and we may see a match between the two for the Universal Championship in the future. Stay tuned for more WWE analysis, and for now, this ends part 2. In a world where we are encouraged through many campaigns by private and government organizations to use devices as much as possible, the idea of an illegal mobile tower stumps me. In fact, if I use the term from Harry Potter, I am stupefied. I have never till date understood the word of the meaning illegal. How can an organization or something spring up without the authorities being aware of the same, and then after some time the same authorities wake up and say this particular building or institution or installation is illegal? Why? For whatever reasons, that particular organization or building or such installations haven't paid the requisite licensing fees. It is baffling in a lot of ways. The mobile towers have another story apart from the aspect of being illegal. There is a speculation that these mobile towers give out radiations which in the future might harm children, and then we may have some cases of deformity and cancer. So, my question is, how do you balance this dilemma? The most simple and the obvious explanation should be, don't go into the zone where you declared something as illegal. Don't allow structures to come up and then wake up decades later that yes, wow, this is illegal. And instead of going the way of sealing, which is as ridiculous and outdated as banning something, we should just say, fine, you haven't paid the fees, let's come to a compromise and you pay the fees for a requisite time period, so that authorities don't have to hear the residents of a particular neighborhood complain that the mobile connection or the mobile network in my neighborhood is poor. We know why it is poor. Towers are being sealed, and then the irony is we talk about going digital. If your towers are sealed, how can you go digital? Unlike me, 90% of Indians use mobile as their source of information. So if there is no network in terms of making calls, or there is no network, there would be no internet. They would be like a deer in a headlight. They would have no idea what to do. What is the alternative? I have found an alternative, that is books, newspapers, magazines. Yes, I might be affected by the network problem, but I have found a solution for the same as well. But it shouldn't become a recurring debate. So when these mobile towers are banned, sealed, or fined, who bears the cost? Not the network or telecom companies, but the customers. Through some smart way or the other, the customers have to foot the bill. So before this happens, the civic authorities have to foresee this and come to a conclusion where they are happy as they get their licensing fees, the customers are happy as they get their network, and the telecom companies are happy as they don't have to go through the burden of paying extra fines. And for the minutest of reasons, going to the courts. The other solution is that if the civic authorities are bent on sealing, then they should have an alternative. They should start installing phone booths in neighborhoods. In fact, the telecom companies should foot the bill for this as well. Because not everybody will have a landline connection. It's not just the mobile towers, it's the very definition of illegal which stupefies me. As I said before, yes, it stupefies me. Why did this particular installation, institution, building become illegal when it was allowed to be built? This kind of attitude is outdated, and there has to be a long term planning and long term solution for the same. Otherwise, if your particular neighborhood doesn't have a strong network connection as far as your mobile is concerned, then the solution is acquire a landline phone and a good broadband connection. And don't be over reliant on using your phone to get information. have a desktop or a laptop. Because anyways, I don't endorse the idea of watching videos on mobile phones, and nor will I ever support this. Let me give you a few pertinent reasons. First, the one which puts fear in us all. Your eyes watching those videos from such a small screen will be affected. Then your neck watching in positions either lying on the bed or watching in a moving vehicle is not good for your neck and your eyes. And then who watches a video on a small screen? How in the world do you enjoy watching a video on the small screen? How can you enjoy this? It's so irritating. If we watch videos in the metro, so as to not disturb other individuals, we have to put on the earphones. What happens when we put on the earphones? We already know what are the harmful effects of wearing the earphones for too long. So, three important organs of your body, your neck, your eyes, and your ears get affected. And let me tell you, replacing your phone with a tablet is also not the solution. The solution is having a desktop or a laptop, connecting the same to a bigger screen, and then watching movies or videos or anything on the big screen the same way you would enjoy watching a movie. So, this is what the customers can do while the civic officials and your network companies engage in unnecessary disagreements. Or the best solution, just read a book. And when I say a book, I do not mean an electronic book, I mean a physical book. If you have a long journey on the train or the plane, or you are a frequent metro traveler and you need some kind of entertainment, the happenings in the metro and on the metro station is your entertainment. Instead of looking down on your phone and affecting your neck, it's better if you look what is happening around you. And if you don't watch the particular episode of a particular show, it will not affect you in any way. And if you don't answer messages to your friends for a few hours, they will understand if they want to understand. So while in an ideal world, mobile towers should never be sealed if there is some kind of an agreement between the telecom companies and the civic officials, we know this is not going to happen. There will be disagreements, there will be sealing, there will be bans, there will be fines. Just think of alternatives till those two institutions come to a fair conclusion. The Supreme Court says Delhiites need clean air. My question is, what is the definition of clean air? And like plastics, why the sudden wake up call right now or over the past 3.5 years? Why not before that? Because climate change, particularly its concept and the knowledge that it will harm the earth, were not known before. The listeners who have studied geography and environmental science in their middle schools know about this idea of the climate change, but our partial attempts to take measures to reduce the effect of climate change is not entirely convincing to me. The sources of pollution, we know what they are, but there are so many loopholes regarding the same that it becomes difficult to come to any kind of conclusion. And if we work towards it, then it is so complicated. We talk about phasing out vehicles which pollute. But what is the solution? Do we have those scrap yards which will do the job? Do we have the locations for that? No. The first step should be to redefine the idea of a traffic congestion. Traffic congestion only happens if the drivers don't follow the lane and the traffic light rules. If your intention is to take a right turn, don't be in the middle lane and then suddenly cut across the vehicle to take a right turn. Decide beforehand that I want to go straight, I want to take a left turn, I should be in that particular lane. This seems too ideal, but it is necessary. It basically means no traffic jams, no cars being parked on the road with engines running for a long time, which means no pollutants being dispelled out of the exhaust pipe. and therefore we have the solution. If you remember, in schools we were taught the importance of queues. Why should there be queues? Why should there be patience? That's a simple rule while driving a car. If you are stuck on the road, if somebody is not driving properly, or if a car has malfunctioned, the solution is not to honk, but instead the driver of the car whose car has malfunctioned should take the help of passers-by and drag the car to the left side of the road with the blinkers on, so that individuals know that this particular vehicle has malfunctioned and we can go around it, and therefore there will be no traffic jams. Yes, this looks like an ideal solution, but sometimes being ideal is the way to go forward. If we respect the zebra crossing, which means we stay a few meters away from it, then the passers-by will cross through the zebra crossing. They will not go in between the cars. It means they will not inhale the fumes of the vehicles. That will also mean the pollution and its effect will be drastically reduced. This is how the authorities should have a look, instead of just merely banning cars or saying that the cars of a particular age should not be on the road, or we should switch to electric vehicles. Yes, switching to electric vehicles is a good idea, but till the time the individuals get acclimatized to the same, the components are available, this is the kind of measures which should be taken. There is a reason why we have a different lane for the cycles, for the scooters, for the heavy vehicles, for the trucks, and for the carpool lane, so as to minimize the traffic jams. For me, taxis, which also includes the app-based taxis, though I don't agree with the term app-based, but yes, the taxis should also become the part of the public transportation along with buses and metro. So in conclusion, stick to your lane, respect the pedestrians as well as the zebra crossing, and if your car malfunctions, switch the engine off and drag it to a side so that the cars are not piled up. For me, there is no difference between your app-based taxis and your old school taxis. They are the same. They are public transportations. Doesn't matter how I call a taxi. Should I use an application to call them, or I just hail them on the road? So I hope you enjoyed this special episode number 102. We had a lot to talk about, so I would like my listeners to send their valuable suggestions, and you know what to do and how to do it. So if you want to be a part of my show, please send your valuable suggestions and send your recordings on topics ranging from sports, education and entertainment on the email ID Aditya the writer at gmail.com. That is Aditya the writer at gmail.com. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please like and subscribe to my Facebook page and YouTube channel, and stay tuned for the next episode.